A single dad worked hard every day to give his daughter a good life. He thought he was alone in the world. But one day, he met a woman who worked in the airport control tower. She had a daughter too. They became friends, then more than friends. For the first time, he felt like he had a real family. But then everything changed in one terrible moment. A dangerous man came with a gun. He pointed it at the air traffic controller's daughter. The single dad saw what was about to happen. He knew what he had to do. He ran forward. He took 3 bullets to his body. As he fell bleeding on the ground, he screamed with his last breath, "Get her out of here. Save her. Run." That moment changed everything forever. That moment made him a hero. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Marcus sat in the break room of the small airport, holding a cup of cold coffee that he had forgotten to drink hours ago. His daughter Sophie's laughter echoed in his mind from that morning when she hugged him before school. He worked as a maintenance man at the airport, fixing broken equipment and keeping the place running. It was not a glamorous job, but it paid the bills and gave him enough time to be there for Sophie when she needed him. Sophie's mother had left them 5 years ago when Sophie was only 3 years old. She said she could not handle the responsibility. She could not handle being a mother. She could not handle Marcus either. So she just disappeared one day, leaving him with a small girl and a broken heart. But Marcus never let Sophie know that her mother left because of her. He told her that sometimes people change and want different things, and that it had nothing to do with how special Sophie was. For 5 years, Marcus raised Sophie alone. He worked during the day and helped with homework at night. He packed her lunch every morning and picked her up from school every afternoon. He went to her school events and her soccer games. He was both mother and father to her, and he did it with a smile, even on the days when he was so tired that he could barely keep his eyes open. The break room was empty now. Marcus worked the night shift, from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning. Most people did not know about the night shift workers. They did not think about the men and women who kept the airport running while everyone else slept. They did not think about people like Marcus, who made sure that the planes could take off and land safely. He finished his coffee and threw the cup away. It was almost 9 o'clock at night. He had 4 more hours of work to do before he could go home and sleep for a few hours before picking Sophie up from school. This was his life, and he was okay with it. Sophie was happy and healthy, and that was all that mattered to him. It was on a Tuesday night when Marcus first met her. Her name was Sarah Chen, and she was the air traffic controller who worked in the tower. Sarah had been working at the airport for 3 years, but Marcus had never really talked to her before. They worked in different parts of the airport, and their paths rarely crossed. That Tuesday night, Marcus was fixing a light in the hallway near the control tower when Sarah came down looking stressed. Her daughter, Emma, had called her from home. Emma was 14 years old and had a fever. Sarah's face was worried, and Marcus could see the conflict in her eyes. She wanted to leave work and go home to her daughter, but she also knew that she could not leave her job. Someone had to be in the control tower. People's lives depended on her doing her job well. "Is everything okay?" Marcus asked her. He did not usually talk to people at work. He kept to himself mostly. Sarah looked at him with tired eyes. "My daughter is sick at home. My babysitter says she has a high fever. I should be there with her, but I cannot leave. We have 3 planes coming in tonight, and I am the only controller on shift." Marcus understood. He had felt that same conflict many times. The need to be with your child and the need to do your job. It was one of the hardest parts of being a single parent. "She will be okay," Marcus said gently. "Kids are tough. My daughter has had fevers too. They usually get better quickly. You are a good mother for worrying about her." Sarah smiled a little. "Thank you. That helps. What about you? Do you have kids?" Yes, a daughter. Sophie. She is 9 years old. That must be difficult sometimes. Being here and worrying about them, Sarah said. Yes, it is. But we do what we have to do, Marcus replied. After that night, Marcus and Sarah started to talk more often. They would see each other in the hallways or in the break room, and they would chat for a few minutes. Marcus learned that Sarah had been married once, but her husband had died in a car accident when Emma was only 2 years old. She had raised Emma alone, just like Marcus had raised Sophie. They discovered that they had so much in common. They both understood what it meant to raise a child alone. They both knew about the exhaustion and the worry and the guilt. They both knew about the love that made it all worth it. One night, Sarah asked Marcus if he wanted to get coffee after work. He said yes. Then they started getting coffee together regularly. Then they went to dinner. Then they became friends, and then something more. For the first time in 5 years, Marcus felt like he was not completely alone in the world. For the first time, there was someone who understood him without him having to explain everything. Sarah became important to him, and Emma became important to him too. He started to think that maybe, just maybe, his life could be different. Maybe Sophie could have a real family again. Marcus began to spend more time with Sarah and Emma. He would take them to the movies on weekends. He would help Emma with her homework at Sarah's kitchen table, and Sarah would make tea and listen to him tell stories about Sophie. These moments were so small, so ordinary, but they meant everything to Marcus. He had spent so many years as just a father and nothing else. Now he was becoming something more. He was becoming part of a family that was bigger than he had ever imagined. Emma started to call Marcus by his name at first, then she started to call him Uncle Marcus, and then one day, she simply called him Dad. Sarah told her that she did not have to, that she could call him whatever she wanted. But Emma had made her choice. She wanted to call him Dad because that is what he had become to her. Sophie loved Emma from the start. At first, she was a little bit shy because she was not used to having other people in their small world. But Emma was kind to her. Emma helped Sophie with her school projects. Emma taught Sophie how to do her hair. Emma listened to Sophie's problems and gave her good advice. Soon, Sophie was happier than she had ever been. She had always wanted a sister, and now she had one. One day, Sophie asked Marcus a question that made his heart almost break from happiness and sadness all at once. Dad, Sophie said to him, are you going to marry Sarah? Marcus looked at his daughter. Would that make you happy? He asked her. Yes, Sophie said. Because then we will all be a real family. And Emma will be my real sister, not just my almost sister. Marcus held Sophie close to him. He promised her that he would do everything he could to make that happen. He was going to ask Sarah to marry him. He was going to give Sophie the real family that she deserved. He was going to give himself the real family that he had stopped believing he would ever have. But not everyone was happy about Marcus and Sarah together. Sarah's brother, David, did not like Marcus. David was a rich man who worked in finance. He thought that Marcus was not good enough for his sister. Marcus was just a maintenance worker at an airport, and David was used to people who had money and status and college degrees. He is taking advantage of you, David told Sarah one day. He is just looking for someone to help him with his daughter. He does not really love you. But Sarah did not believe him. She knew Marcus's heart. She knew how hard he worked and how much he loved Sophie. She knew that he was a good man. There was another reason that David did not like Marcus. David had a friend named Vincent, and Vincent was a dangerous man. Vincent sold drugs and worked with criminals. David had borrowed money from Vincent, and now he could not pay it back. Vincent was becoming angry. Vincent was becoming violent. One night, David came to Sarah's house with Vincent and 2 other men. They were all angry and they had guns. You have until tomorrow to get me my money, Vincent said to David. Sarah was terrified. She tried to call the police, but Vincent grabbed her phone and threw it across the room. He hit David hard across the face. "If you do not get me my money by tomorrow," Vincent said, pointing his gun at Sarah, "I will take this one. People like me always collect what we are owed." David broke down crying. He looked at his sister with shame and fear in his eyes. He had made a terrible mistake, and now everyone he loved was in danger. That night, David came to see Marcus. He knew that Marcus was Sarah's boyfriend, and he decided to tell him what was happening. He did not know what else to do. He was desperate and scared. Marcus listened to the whole story, and then he made a decision. He was going to help. He did not have much money, but he had some savings. He had been saving money to take Sophie on a vacation, to give her a special summer. But Sophie's life was not in danger. Sarah's life was in danger. Emma's life was in danger. "I will help you," Marcus told David. "But I need a day to get the money together." David felt a small glimmer of hope. Maybe there was a way out of this. Maybe Vincent would take the money and leave them all alone. But Marcus did not just get the money. He also went to the police. He told them about Vincent and his crimes. He asked them to help him catch Vincent. The police said they would help. They wanted to catch Vincent too. Vincent had hurt a lot of people. The next morning, Marcus got the money together. He called David and told him to set up a meeting with Vincent at the airport. Marcus thought that if they met at the airport, where there were people around and security cameras, it would be safer. Vincent was less likely to do something crazy if there were people watching. But Marcus did not know that Vincent was more dangerous than he thought. Vincent did not care about people watching. Vincent did not care about the law. Vincent only cared about power and control and money. Marcus arranged for the meeting to happen near the control tower, where Sarah worked. He did not tell Sarah what was happening. He wanted to keep her safe. He wanted to keep everyone safe. The police were hidden nearby, waiting to move in and arrest Vincent as soon as they saw the money change hands. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Marcus met David and Vincent and the two other men near the building where the control tower was. Marcus had the money in a bag. "Here is the money," Marcus said, holding out the bag. "Now you leave David and his family alone." Vincent took the bag and opened it. He counted the money inside. He smiled a cruel smile. "This is good," Vincent said. "But it is not enough." "That is what we agreed on," Marcus said. "That is the money you asked for." "I changed my mind," Vincent said. "I want more. I want double. And I want it by tonight, or I am going to hurt people you love." Marcus felt his heart drop. He thought about Sophie. He thought about Sarah and Emma. This man was not going to stop. He was never going to be satisfied. There would always be another demand, another threat, another reason to hurt people. "No," Marcus said. "This ends now. I am not giving you another penny." Vincent's face turned red with anger. "You do not get to tell me no," he said. "I am in charge here." Vincent pulled out a gun and pointed it at David. But before he could do anything, Sarah came running out of the building. She did not know what was happening, but she had heard yelling, and she had come to see if everyone was okay. Emma was with her. Emma had come to the airport after school to meet her mother. Sarah had been showing Emma around the control tower, teaching her about her job. When Vincent saw Sarah and Emma, his eyes went cold and hard. "Perfect," he said. "Now I have some insurance." He pointed the gun at Emma. Sarah screamed and moved in front of her daughter to protect her. Marcus saw what was about to happen. He saw Emma's scared face. He saw Sarah trying to protect her child, just like he would try to protect Sophie. In that moment, something inside Marcus changed. All of his fear went away. All of his worry about himself went away. There was only one thing that mattered, and that was protecting that little girl. Marcus ran at Vincent. He hit him as hard as he could and knocked him down. The gun fell out of Vincent's hand and skid across the ground. But the two other men grabbed Marcus and threw him to the ground. They beat him with their fists and their shoes. It hurt, but Marcus did not stop fighting. He kept trying to get to the gun, to keep it away from Vincent. Vincent picked up the gun again. "You made a big mistake," Vincent said. He pointed the gun at Marcus and pulled the trigger. The first bullet hit Marcus in the chest. It felt like being hit by something hot and heavy. He fell to the ground, gasping for air. But Vincent was not finished. He pointed the gun at Sarah and Emma again, because they were still running toward Marcus, still trying to help him. Sarah screamed her daughter's name. She screamed for someone to call the police. She tried to shield Emma with her own body. Marcus, bleeding and in terrible pain, knew what he had to do. "Get her out of here," he shouted at Sarah. His voice was weak but full of power. "Get Emma out of here now. Run." But Sarah could not leave him. She could not abandon him lying there bleeding on the ground. "Run!" Marcus screamed again, his eyes locked on hers. "Sarah, please. Get her out of here. Go." Something in his voice, something in his eyes, made Sarah understand. She grabbed Emma's hand and started to run toward the building. Vincent was angry that they were getting away. He pointed the gun at Sarah's back. "You are not going anywhere," he said. He pulled the trigger twice. The second and third bullets tore through the air. But Marcus, even though he was bleeding and dying on the ground, found one last bit of strength. He threw himself in front of the bullets. The second bullet hit his shoulder. The third bullet hit his side. 3 bullets. 3 times he had taken the impact meant for someone else. The police rushed in then. They had been waiting for a moment to move in safely, and when they saw Vincent shooting, they knew they had to act. They arrested Vincent and the 2 other men. They called the ambulance for Marcus. Marcus woke up in the hospital. His chest was wrapped in bandages. His shoulder hurt. His side hurt. Every breath he took was painful, but he could breathe. He was alive. The first person he saw was Sophie. She was sitting next to his bed, holding his hand. Her eyes were red from crying. She looked so small and scared. "Daddy," she said, and the word broke apart as she cried. "Daddy, I was so scared." Marcus managed to move his hand and touch her face. "I am okay, baby. I am okay. I am right here." The second person he saw was Sarah. She stood in the doorway with Emma next to her. Both of them had tears in their eyes. Sarah looked at him like he had come back from the dead. In a way, he had. That night, Sarah told Marcus everything that had happened after he collapsed. The police had rushed in and arrested Vincent. An ambulance had come and brought Marcus to the hospital. Sarah had ridden in the ambulance with him, holding his hand the whole time and telling him to stay alive, to stay with her, to come back to her. Doctors said that Marcus was very lucky. One of the bullets had missed his heart by only a few centimeters. If it had been even a little bit to the side, he would have died on that airport ground. The doctors said that Marcus's body had an amazing ability to heal, and that he would recover, but it would take time. It would take weeks for Marcus to heal enough to go home. It would take months for his wounds to fully close. It would take even longer for him to feel strong again. But while he was in the hospital, something changed in his life. A news reporter had been at the airport that day. She had filmed everything that happened. She recorded how Marcus had thrown himself in front of a child to protect her. She recorded how he had taken 3 bullets for people he loved. The video went all over the internet. News channels showed it on television. People wrote articles about it in newspapers and online. Marcus became famous. People called him a hero. But Marcus did not feel like a hero. He felt like a man who had done what any good person would do. He felt like a father who understood that sometimes you have to sacrifice everything for the people you love. However, the fame did bring something good into his life. A local organization for single parents wanted to help him. They set up a fund to pay for his medical bills. They raised money so that he would not have to worry about money while he was healing. More importantly, something changed between Marcus and Sarah. When you stand in front of bullets for someone, when you risk your life for their daughter, it changes things. It shows what is in your heart in a way that words never can. Sarah had always cared about Marcus. But when she saw him throw himself in front of those bullets, when she saw him protect Emma with his own body, she fell in love with him in a deeper way. She realized that this man would always be there. This man would always protect the people he loved. This man was worth everything. 3 months later, Marcus came home from the hospital. He was still healing, and he still had pain, but he was strong enough to go home. He was strong enough to be with Sophie and to start rebuilding his life. Emma came to visit him almost every day. She brought him books and movies and her homework, and she did her schoolwork sitting next to his bed while he recovered at home. Emma had not forgotten what Marcus had done for her. She had not forgotten that he had taken those bullets to protect her. She loved him now, and he loved her like she was his own daughter. One day, about 6 months after he had been shot, Marcus asked Sarah to marry him. He did it in a simple way, with no big ceremony or fancy restaurant. He was sitting on the couch at home, and Sophie was at school. It was just Marcus and Sarah. "I know that we have known each other for a short time," Marcus said. "But I also know that life is short and unpredictable. I know that people we love can be taken away from us. I do not want to waste any more time. I want to spend my life with you and Emma. I want to make a real family with you. Will you marry me?" Sarah said yes before he even finished asking. She had known since the day he took those bullets that she wanted to spend the rest of her life with him. They planned a small wedding with just close friends and family. Sophie was a bridesmaid, and Emma was a bridesmaid too. They wore matching dresses and looked beautiful. When Marcus and Sarah exchanged vows, there was not a dry eye in the room. Everyone there understood what those vows meant. Everyone there knew that Marcus and Sarah had already proved their love in the most powerful way possible. After the wedding, they moved into a bigger house together. It was the first time that Marcus and Sophie had lived with anyone else. It was the first time that Sarah and Emma had lived with anyone else. But it did not feel strange or uncomfortable. It felt right. It felt like home. Sophie and Emma became more like sisters than stepsisters. They shared a room because they wanted to, not because they had to. They told each other everything and helped each other with homework and gave each other advice about boys and life and friendship. Marcus worked at the airport for several more years. But after what happened with Vincent, he decided to change his job. He became a security consultant for airports. He used what he had learned from his experience to help other airports become safer. He helped them train their security teams. He helped them plan how to handle emergencies. He was good at this work, and it paid better than his maintenance job. He was able to give Sophie and Emma more opportunities, to pay for their college funds, to give them a better life. Sarah continued to work as an air traffic controller. But she was also grateful that Marcus understood her job and her dedication to it. She did not have to choose between being a good mother and being a good worker. She had a partner who supported her and helped her and loved her. Years passed. Sophie grew up. She went to high school and then to college. She wanted to be a teacher, and she worked hard to achieve that dream. Emma also grew up. She went to college too. She wanted to be a doctor, and she worked hard to achieve that dream. When Sophie and Emma were both in college, they sometimes talked about the day that Marcus had been shot. They talked about what they remembered. They talked about how it had changed their lives. "I think about that day sometimes," Sophie told Marcus one day when she was home from college. "I think about how everything could have been different. How I could have lost you. How Emma could have been hurt. How everything could have been worse. I know, Marcus said. I think about it too sometimes. But I am grateful, Sophie continued. I am grateful that you saved Emma. I am grateful that you survived. I am grateful for the life we have now. And I know that you did what you had to do. You did what any good father would do. Marcus hugged his daughter. He was proud of the woman she had become. She was smart and kind and strong. She understood that sometimes people had to take risks for the people they loved. She understood that sometimes being brave meant doing the scary thing. Emma said something similar to Marcus when she came home from college. I know that I would be dead if you had not saved me, Emma said. I know that you took those bullets for me. I do not think I will ever be able to repay you for that. But I want you to know that I will spend my whole life trying. I will be a good doctor. I will help people. I will make you proud. Marcus told her that she already made him proud. He told her that she did not owe him anything. He told her that he had saved her because he loved her, and that was enough. Years later, after Marcus retired from his security job, he and Sarah started to work together. They created programs to teach young people about personal safety and about helping others. They talked to students about what happened at the airport. They talked about courage and sacrifice and love. People always ask me if I was scared when I ran at that man, Marcus would say in these talks. And I was scared. I was terrified. But my fear for myself was nothing compared to my love for Sophie and Emma and Sarah. When you love someone that much, fear does not matter anymore. The only thing that matters is protecting them and keeping them safe. The students would always listen to his story with tears in their eyes. They understood something important. They understood that real courage is not the absence of fear. Real courage is doing the right thing even when you are afraid. Real courage is standing up for people you love, no matter what it costs. Marcus grew old with Sarah by his side. They did not have any more children of their own. But they had Sophie and Emma, and eventually they had grandchildren from Sophie and Emma. They had a full and happy life. Sophie became a teacher, just like she dreamed. She taught young children in elementary school, and she was the kind of teacher that children remembered for the rest of their lives. She taught them not just math and reading, but also about kindness and courage. She told them stories about her father, about how he had shown her what real love means. Her students loved her. Their parents loved her. She was making the world a better place, one child at a time. Emma became a doctor, just like she dreamed. She worked in a hospital helping sick people get better. She was the kind of doctor that her patients trusted completely. She listened to them. She cared about them. She stayed late to make sure they were comfortable. She often thought about Marcus and how he had sacrificed himself for her, and she tried to live her life in a way that honored that sacrifice. She saved many lives in her career. Both Sophie and Emma got married and had children. They had sons and daughters who knew the story of their grandfather Marcus. They knew about the 3 bullets. They knew about the day at the airport. They grew up knowing that they came from a line of brave and loving people. Sarah continued to work as an air traffic controller for many years. She became one of the best controllers at the airport. She trained new controllers and taught them not just the technical skills but also about responsibility and care. She never forgot what Marcus had done for her and for Emma. Every time she looked at her radar screen and guided a plane safely to the ground, she thought of Marcus and his sacrifice. When Marcus was very old, lying in his hospital bed at the end of his life, surrounded by his wife, his daughters, his sons-in-law, and his grandchildren, he thought about that day at the airport. He thought about the 3 bullets. He thought about the choice he had made in that moment. He did not regret it. He would make the same choice again. Because some things are more important than your own life. Some things matter more than your own safety. Love matters more than anything else. And family matters more than everything. You saved my life, Sarah whispered to him, holding his old hand in her young-looking hand. Young-looking because she had loved him and because being loved by someone made you beautiful. No, Marcus said, his voice very quiet. You saved my life. All of you. You made my life worth living. You gave me a reason to be brave. Sophie held her father's hand on the other side. I love you, Dad, she said. Thank you for teaching me what love means. Emma held his other hand. I love you too, Dad. I would not be here without you. I would not be a doctor. I would not have this beautiful life. Everything I have, I owe to you. And that was the truth. That was the real story. It was not just about the 3 bullets. It was about how love can heal you. It was about how sacrifice can bring people together. It was about how one act of courage can change everything. It was about how a single father's decision to protect someone else's child created a family that would love each other forever. When Marcus died, he was loved by a family that he had created through his own choices and his own sacrifice. He left behind a legacy of love and bravery. He left behind daughters who knew that they were worth protecting. He left behind grandchildren who knew that real strength comes from the heart. He left behind a wife who had loved him with everything she had. He left behind an air traffic controller named Sarah Chen who would never forget the man who took 3 bullets so that her daughter could live. And whenever anyone asked Sarah or Sophie or Emma about that day at the airport, they did not talk about the violence or the danger. They talked about Marcus. They talked about his love. They talked about what it means to be brave. They talked about how he saved Emma's life. They talked about the sacrifice he made. They talked about a single father who took 3 bullets and created a family that would never forget what he had done for them. Because that is what real love looks like. It looks like a man standing in front of danger. It looks like a father protecting his child. It looks like sacrifice. It looks like Marcus. It looks like the day when everything changed. It looks like 3 bullets that turned a lonely maintenance worker into a hero. It looks like a family that was born from one act of unselfish love. And the world was better because Marcus lived. The world was better because he loved Sarah and Emma and Sophie. The world was better because he was brave. The world was better because he cared more about other people than he cared about himself. That is the real story of Marcus. That is why people remember him. That is why his name will never be forgotten.